Hello everyone, my name is Marcell Fekete and I'm a first year PhD student at the Aalborg University Copenhagen, and this is the talk related to our extended abstract Gradual language model adaptation using fine-grained typology. So the problem is that universal multilingual NLP is still out of reach, and the current data-hungry training methods that we use struggle to cover languages of smaller communities like Asia or Faroese. You can also see that like most of the world's languages, and you can look at this Joshi figure, lack a lot of training data that is necessary to create these models. So one trend of solutions that have emerged is to use various language model adaptation techniques that work by exploiting cross-lingual transfer to improve performance for languages that might not have that much data available. So different methods exist. One of them is fully fine-tuning model weights. You can also inject extra weights like language adapters into the model, or you can retrain the lexical layer as well. The challenge of these approaches, or maybe the gap, is that often they do not consider language relations, and even if they do, they usually don't go beyond in-family membership. And this is despite evidence that typological information of about the languages, so for instance, how similar they are to each other, may aid cross-lingual transfer. So for instance, if you want to do cross-lingual transfer between Faroese and Icelandic that share more features between each other, that will probably be more successful than doing the same kind of transfer across Faroese and Hungarian, because of like the difference in the typological features as well. And then the research question becomes, can we improve transfer by exploiting this typological similarity for language model adaptation? We believe we can, and for this we propose that instead of the direct adaptation from source to target language, so in this case from Swedish to Faroese, instead we propose that language model adaptation should be carried out in stages using intermediate languages. So you would first rank candidate languages using a typological similarity measure, and then when you do the adaptation, instead of going directly from the source to the target language, so for instance from Swedish to Faroese again, you might want to go through Icelandic or a number of other languages that might share typological similarity with the two languages involved to a higher extent than those two languages to each other. And this will hopefully result in a more data efficient language model adaptation. How do we propose to measure typology? So instead of handcrafted resources like walls, which are often used, we propose data-driven measures. This is because feature measures might be missing from such resources as walls. So Faroese has only 11 entries, English has 159. And the other problem is that the values are quite coarse-grained. So you might have information about like some kind of dominant word order, like in German, but that might not encompass the variation that exists, for instance, when you have a subordinate clause and then the verb finally gets to the final position. So something like the counting UD dependency links using a measure like structural similarity hopefully will provide us with a more fine-grained information and allow us to do a more precise ranking of languages that can be necessary for this kind of categorization of cross-lingual transfer that we're aiming to do here through gradual adaptation. So as I already mentioned, we're hoping that this method can contribute to a more data-efficient language model adaptation framework, and that it would also allow us to assess correlation between typological similarity measures and transfer. And in our future work, we plan to extend the coverage to more languages, especially the ones in universal dependencies, and experiment with several language model adaptation techniques, for instance, the ones that I've already mentioned earlier in this talk. Thank you for your attention.